Welcome to the e-expenses presentation. This presentation will take approximately 25 to 30 minutes when I'll give you a quick introduction of the process and some of the benefits, and then I'll go into the system, navigate around of how to claim, how to process an expense claim, and obviously how to attach receipts to your claim. Everything you see here will be an electronic process, so there is no paper claims submitted once you go live, and no paper receipts transferred to your manager for approval. Okay. Right, the current versus the revised process. So we're moving from a paper process to electronic. The employee will submit one monthly expense claim. If you have two posts, if you have a substantive post and a bank post, you will be submitting two claims per month. This is no different to how you would normally claim. Receipts will be attached electronically to your expense claim for the categories travel, supplementary and subsistence. Your manager will approve your expense claim, again electronically. They will be notified towards the end of the month to log in and check their account for any of your team's claims. The expense claim, once it's been submitted and approved, will be sent into the payroll interface and will be paid within your salary. So generally there's a cut-off each month, around about the 7th or the 8th of the month. If that's for example your June claim, you've submitted your June claim for your manager from the 1st of July, your manager approves it on the 5th of July, you have the guarantee that you will be paid in your salary in a July month. A couple of declarations that shouldn't be too obvious. Hold a valid driving licence, current road tax for your vehicle, MOT and motor insurance. As per the information gathering email that has been sent out to yourselves, we've asked for these dates. So we load the initial dates of these certificates on, and then as and when these expire, pre-claim or during the year, it is the responsibility of a line manager or an administrator that they suggest to update these. Okay, so this will be a rolling process. If these dates do expire midway through the claim, a warning will be triggered. However, that warning does not mean that you are not able to submit your claim, have it approved, or even have it paid. It's just a process to make sure that if it does trigger as a warning, you're able to make sure that your line manager updates it. Okay. The aim and objective of the expenses. We believe it will significantly reduce the administration involved in entering, approving and processing expense claims, and greatly reduces the potential for error through manual or paper-driven processes. Some of the benefits. We believe that you'll be paid quicker. There'll be a quicker processing time. At the moment, you've got quite a tight time frame between the end of the month and the time that you've actually got to get it approved and sent down to payroll, down to Winford House. The deadline's at the moment around about the 5th of the month, and obviously that takes into account a 2 or 3 day transfer time to get it to them. They've then got a week's period to process it all manually, bearing in mind they process around 3,500 to 4,000 expense claims each month. So taking that all into account, you should be paid in the same time, in the same month that you actually submit it. As I mentioned before, there's no requirement to print out your expense claim. Keep a copy of your paper claim, keep a copy of your receipts. All that is inputted electronically, which I'll touch on later. As I mentioned, there's a number of expense claims that payroll do see and process each month. They do find that there's a number of pay inaccuracies, both for and against. So if someone was to deduct their home to base where they shouldn't do, or not deduct it where they shouldn't, the system does deduct your home to base automatically if you start at home. And also the system will cast your mileage on a cumulative basis. So as and when you're going through the month, day by day, there's a summary to indicate what you are claiming for. For managers and staff, it's the same system you sign on to. It's just a separate tab. You have a tab for claims and a tab for approvals. It's a web-based system, so it can be accessed on the front page of the internet under Employ Online. and is also accessed on the internet as well. So if you are completing your claims or approving your staff's claims at home, you can do so away from the VPN connection. The last point, it improves the audit trail. So when you are logged in under your claims, you are able to see what claims you have as current, what are submitted, so you submit them to your manager for approval. It will track when they have been approved. The next point after that is they are actually payroll approved, which is an automatic feed that we have built in. And then when they're sent for payment, so when the roster team load the claims into payroll, it shows they've been sent for payment. It shows the date of these as well, so you're able to track at what point you know you're going to get paid in that month, so quite useful as well. The system works off a postcode to postcode mapping, so it uses Google Maps functionality to calculate the shortest route from A to B. Appreciating the fact that shortest route might not be the quickest route, there are some tailored functionality to override the route. So let's give an example. The shortest route from A to B might be 10 miles. You in fact took 12 miles. You can drop it down, override the 12, the 10, and then obviously save and carry on. One thing with Google Maps, for those that are familiar with Google Maps, it plots 3 routes. It uses the functionality of Google Maps, but you're not able to choose the route you take by dragging the route. Okay, but I'll touch on that later. The triangulation rule is where you start at home or finish at home. It will deduct your necessary home to base. If you start at base and or finish at base, obviously there's no deduction. Okay. I touched on this earlier about the vehicle checks. If any of the business insurance, MOT, road tax do expire midway through the claim, a warning will trigger. Again, that's just a process to make sure that your line manager and you are up to date on those. We built some real-time rules into the system. So, for example, you might type that you've travelled 300 miles in a day instead of 30 miles. So there's a control around that, so make sure that if you are paid that incorrectly, it helps payroll. I'll touch on the internet access from home, okay, previously. Right, so that was a short presentation on some of the processes. What I'll do now, I will go into the system and show you how to complete your claims and process claims, etc. Okay, so the system can be accessed on the staff intranet, as I mentioned earlier. Under staff support on the left hand side, it's called Employee Online. So click on that. Okay, so for those staff that are going live, they will be going live on the 1st of the month. Obviously, if that's a weekend, it will be the first Monday after that. Your user details, your username and your password will be sent to you in that email. It will show your username clearly and your password. The password will be alphanumeric. Okay, so copy and paste it into the system. You'll be then asked to change that on your first attempt, and then you can obviously change your password to something that is familiar to you. Okay, so this is the front screen of the system. For those that are rostered, you should all be familiar with these tabs here. Okay, so for focus on today, we'll focus on the expenses tab. Expenses admin will be shown for managers and for administrators that are controlling the vehicle checks, and reporting is just for me as an administrator, so please disregard that. Click on the expenses tab. Okay, as I mentioned before about the auditable viewpoint, I can show all my claims that are current. Okay, I've got my current claim here that I've created. Any of my claims that I've submitted, so I'm submitting my June claim, and any that's sent for payment. Okay, so as I mentioned, the date is sent for payment on the 8th of June. That will then be paid in the June payslip, my June payslip. Okay. For staff, all staff have the claims tab here, which will relate to these 3. Managers will have the approvals tab. The approvals tab will show, again, anything outstanding approvals, approved awaiting payment, anything rejected. And all staff will have access to the vehicle information. Okay, so the vehicle information will show the vehicles that we've loaded on and the dates that have expired. So as you can see on here, I've got my insurance, which is up to date on February 17. My MOT is due for renewal here, and so on and so forth. Okay, so fairly useful to track your cars that you drive. Okay, I'll go back into claims. So at the start of each month, you'll be creating your claim by clicking on new claim. Please only click on this button once a month. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, you should only have one claim to submit per post. Like I say, if you've got 2 posts, you're submitting 2 claims. So I'll start my posting by creating my claim. This is the free text field, and the claim for July 16, if you go live in August, this will automatically default to August 16. Your posting, if you've got 2 postings or multi-posting, using the drop down here, you can switch between your postings. The approving unit will be associated with your posting here. But please note, if you have a bank post, then your approving unit should be associated to the approval team of your main posting. So for instance, if you work in the district nursing team and you then select bank, you need to then change the approving unit to district nursing Taunton, for instance. Okay, just change that back to financial accounting team. There we are. This is also a free text field, the notes. Please bear in mind your manager will see this when they log in. So let's say your business insurance certificate has expired, and all you're saying is it's okay, on its way. So if a warning does trigger midway through the claim, they're aware of it. Okay, I click the create button, and that's my expense claim created for the month. You've then got 4 categories. So we've built this to replicate how staff and what staff claim on the current paper process. So mileage, travel, subsistence and supplementary. I'll touch on all these so that you're familiar with all the areas. If you're claiming one of these per day or one of these per month, each time you're creating new expense. Apologies. The most important field on this screen is probably the mileage expense, because it gives an idea to the manager what you're claiming, why you're claiming. So if I use an example, e-expenses training, Winford House. Okay, so my line manager will log in, he'll be familiar with the description, and he'll be able to accept or reject accordingly. Okay, I select business mileage. Okay, business mileage is used for all business mileage users. For all lease car users, obviously the lease car drop down, we have a change of base mileage, so I'll touch on all these in detail, a mandatory course mileage, voluntary course mileage, and so on and so forth. So initially I'll start with business mileage. I choose my date. Please note that I cannot claim forward. Okay, so I don't know the number of miles I've travelled until I've actually travelled that day. So let's say I travelled today on the 6th of July. One thing to note on the system will allow you to go 3 months back. So if you're going live on the 1st of August and you forget to submit your claim on the August claim, your September claim, October, you can go back to October, September and August. Okay. I select my car. If you've confirmed all your information, so if you've got a go live date of the 1st of August, you would have received an email around about 5 to 6 weeks before that will ask you to confirm your home, your base and your car information. If you confirm that information back to us, brilliant, your cars will be listed here. If you've got private cars, they will show as your private. If you've got a company car, you aren't able to have a private car and a company car to drive, so you only show the one under this drop down. I'll select my car I've driven this morning. Okay, the system will recognise your home and your base addresses. Okay, so it will recognise it by keying in home into the subject field, and it will drop down my home location. Anything with your locations listed means that you have used that location before and it will remember it. So it will feed it into your locations and you'll be able to use it again. So I started at home. The postcode at Winford House, I know it starts at BA22. Again, it's in my your locations, so I can use that on the drop down. By selecting on show map, it will show me, if I'm scrolling, zooming on the right hand side, scroll down, it will show me the route that I took from North Petherton to Yeovil. Okay, 26 miles. Let's say I actually took a different route or had a diversion. Using the drop down on the suggested route, we can choose quickest route. So as I mentioned earlier, quickest route was actually 29 miles for me. Okay, I haven't finished my journey yet because I've gone from home to Yeovil. I'm claiming 29 miles. What it's trying to do, because it thinks, well, okay, it will not calculate your mileage until you've finished your trip, i.e. you've finished at home or base. So what I would do, I add another trip. It then generates my to location to be my from. So I finished at Yeovil initially, and now starting back at Yeovil, and I go to Priory House, Wells. Okay, again, I know the postcode, and it gives me the location here. What it then does here, it will then, okay, so I've got another leg here. It will say I've travelled 29 miles, I can claim 29. Perfect. It's trying to deduct my home to base here, but I obviously haven't finished. So again, my third trip, let's say I finish at home. It will then calculate this correctly, and it will say, right, okay, my home to base from North Petherton to Mallard Court is 5.1 miles one way. So the difference between these two entries in here is 10.2 miles. Two lots my home to base calculation, which I'm happy with. I save that. The number of miles I've travelled, 63.5 miles, is now shown in the total up here. Okay, let's say that I actually took a passenger, I actually took a colleague here. I can edit the claim by the pencil here, and on one of these journeys I took a passenger. I carried a passenger here, I carried one passenger at 29 miles, and I put the passenger name in here. Mandy Powell. Okay, if you take more than one passenger, then 2, 3 passengers, same number of miles, and key the passenger name in here. You'll see on the left hand side that there's carried equipment. Okay, this relates to heavy or bulky equipment only. So bulky equipment is anything that cannot fit in the boot of your car and has to fit in the back of your car, and technically, put your seats down, it's a bum on seat. Okay, heavy items, if you carry heavy items, you need a risk assessment completed by your line manager. Okay, and generally if you're carrying heavy items now, then the rules have not changed. They are as per the Agenda for Change rules from the 1st of July 2013. And if that is applicable, you've completed a risk assessment, just some details of the heavy equipment in there. Please bear in mind that carried passengers are paid at 5 pence per mile, carried equipment are paid at 3 pence per mile. Okay? I'll just put a commode in there at 21.4 miles. So obviously the same as what you're travelling. I hit save, and it's absorbed into here. Your line manager will, when they log in and approve your claim, they will have a notification that you've carried a passenger, you've carried some equipment. Okay. Let me just touch on some of the other expenses here. If I show you a lease car, so those that have got a lease car, let's just do another example. It was at meetings at Bridgewater, incurred that day. I chose my other car. I started at base, so typing in base will recognise your base postcode. Okay, you'll be able to select that one drop down. Let's say I went back to Winford for a meeting and chose that again. Okay, it's selecting 25.9 miles. On the drop down here, let's just suggest there's a roadblock. Okay, but the roadblock took me 35 miles. I then went back to base, type in base, select my base, and hit save. Okay, a warning has appeared. The way we built the system is that suggested mileage here was 25.9 miles. Okay, we're now saying we've travelled 35 miles, which is fairly significantly higher. We've built a warning saying that anything higher than 25% of the suggested route will generate a warning. We're not saying that what you're claiming for 35 miles is incorrect. We're more saying that, okay, is what you've typed incorrect? If it's not, then please go in and change it. And also your line manager can then see if you have taken a different route, that's still very useful. Hit save. As you can see, there's no home to base deduction because I started at home, started at base even, and finished at base. I hit save. The number of miles are accumulated in the total here. I've now got 2 items on my claim. Just touch on some other areas here. I'm not going to go through them because they're exactly the same. Mandatory course. Obviously, if you attend a mandatory course training, such as fire safety, health and safety training, you can claim for those and they are paid at the higher rate, the 56p rate. For staff that attend a voluntary course, these are paid at public transport rate. So if you choose to attend a course for a university degree or a training course at a college, these pay at the lower rate. Okay, so please bear that in mind. For staff that's a change of base mileage, again, following the same process, selecting the date, selecting the car, home and the base. Unfortunately, the system doesn't recognise what you have as a protected home and base. Okay, so there is another guide which I'll touch on later. By all means, take a look at that guide. If you get any queries, call either one of the numbers on the support page or Mandy or myself. Okay. Under the travel heading, we have the following areas of travel. So we've generally tailored these in order of importance. So public transport, taxi, train and bus. I'll touch on some of these. So we took a taxi to London, incurred on the 4th of July, let's say it was for a meeting, it was £20, it went from Paddington to Hotel X, let's say. Okay, one new bit of functionality which has just come live as of yesterday is to upload images, upload a receipt. Okay, so what you generally do is once you've loaded your receipt from the printer into your machine, or obviously scanning it in from your phone, you can add an image. I've got some images here that are in my my libraries, my pictures directory. I'm going to click on that as a test file. It then shows the image. You can click on the image. It shows you the full image here. Okay, this is just a receipt to a hotel that I'm using. Close the image. What happens here, once you've uploaded the image, it automatically defaults receipt available and you're not able to change it. Okay, and you shouldn't need to. I click save and the £20 for my taxi meeting is shown in the total value here. Okay, one thing to note is that number of miles will not convert to pounds in the system. So here you're paid £20 out of pocket and 124 miles. It's not until that the system loaded into payroll that it will convert your miles to pounds and pence, so be it the higher rate, or if you've fallen above the 3,500 threshold for business miles, it will pay at the lower rate. Okay, if you do want to change any of these, you can click to edit the entry and expand on any of the bits in front of you. Okay, touch on subsistence. So let's assume you stayed overnight in London and you're claiming for an evening meal at London Hotel X. On the drop down, evening meal allowance on the same day. Let's just show the warning that will appear here. If I hit save here, The maximum, there's a violation here, which means that you're not able to proceed. Okay, the maximum amount, as per the agenda for change rules, is that, as it says there, £15. Okay, I hit save, that's fine. Obviously I forgot to upload a receipt. One thing you can do on the system is if you do have a number of receipts, you can load them in, attach 6 or 7 receipts onto the printer into one claim, and attach this one here as of what I've shown here. Okay, what I've done, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 receipts here. Your manager can still see them and work out, okay, they're claiming for a car park ticket here, a car park ticket here, etc. And obviously then assign that to the relevant line. I hit save as again, the receipt is available here. And the figure is now shown above. One final column, supplementary, this is where you're claiming for your car park tickets or eye tests or what have you. Okay, so let's say one of the car park tickets on the 5th here, £1. The image, the image was associated with the other entry I just uploaded, so tick receipt available and hit save. Again, it's now added to there. Okay, so change my team here. So this is my claim. I've got 2 mileage entries, a travel, a subsistence, and a supplementary with some receipts in. I can save that. The system will save as you go along. Okay, so say we've done that on you can do it week by week basis. For those staff that wish to process their claims every day, on the evening or the morning, what have you, that's fine. If I log back out, I'll just show you what you do when you go back in the next day. Following the same process I've shown you previously, here's your claim here. Okay, it should have got a warning, and the warning says, okay, it's got money. So you go into the claim and show what warnings are relevant. Instead of actually creating a new claim for a new expense, you should be editing your current claim. So on the right hand side, you've got edit claim, click on the pencil, and you're back into your entry again. You can see a warning here, and it shows the tolerance I exceeded previously. Okay, and obviously if I want to create any more expenses, I'm clicking on new expense here. Let's assume that this is my claim for the month. I can submit from here, or if I'm in the main screen, I can submit with this green arrow here. If I make a complete mess of my claim, I can delete my claim from here as well. So I'll submit my claim. There's a disclaimer on the screen which is exactly the same as what you see on the paper claim. It shows that, it states that none of your expenses have been claimed by another organisation. They're actually and necessarily incurred while engaged on a business stated, and you have the relevant tax checks, MOT, that are live. Okay, I click accept here. There we go. As you can see, my claim has disappeared from current and has now moved over to submitted claims. And here it is here. Okay, what it will show, at the moment it shows as submitted. When my line manager has approved it, it will show that my manager has approved it on that date via here. And the next stage is something called payroll approved. This is an auto approval that we've built into the system to say, okay, it's manager approved, it goes to payroll approved, and then the date here. Okay, so that was submitted on the 30th of June. It was manager approved on the 1st of July. Once the load, the feed goes into our payroll interface, ESR, it will then move from here into here and sent for payment. Okay, and as I mentioned before, it will show the date it's been sent to payroll. Right, I will log out of my system and show you what a line manager will see and show you what they will see. Right, so they still have the same claimant, but under the approvals tab you'll now see my submitted claim. Okay, so a line manager will click on the claim, they will see all the credentials at the top, they will see the total value, pounds and pence and the number of miles. It shows the claim has one warning, okay, which is, we're not surprised, and here's the claimant's notes. Business information certificate expired on its way, okay, so no surprise there. So to approve or to reject the claim. If you try and approve a claim before you view any of the receipts, it will give you an error. Please check the claim before submitting. Okay, it shows you by a red bracket here. Please check attached receipts. Okay, so what we do, I'll explain to you what these are shortly, but to view the receipt, click on there. You can scroll on the image. Okay, see what you're claiming, and close it. As you can see, it's now gone to a neutral colour. It means that once you've viewed this image here, on the multiple receipts, you're happy with that, close it again, you can then proceed. Okay. Just to explain some of the setup here, that's my description, my expenses training, Winford House. If I click on this here, it shows the route I've taken. This will show that, okay, I took a quicker route, which is why I've obviously got inconsistent mileage. I took Mandy Powell one leg at 29 miles, and I took some heavy equipment. I took a commode at 21.4 miles. So it shows if you've done a basic journey, then fine. If you've taken a passenger and some heavy equipment, these are directed by these two symbols here. My warning for my lease car will show that I took a suggested mileage difference of 25%, or is over the 25% bracket. If you're happy with all of those, then you can bulk approve or bulk reject here. So say you've got a number of lines here, you can bulk approve them, but just reject one. So if you want to reject the car parking, you have to put a comment. Okay, in the bottom of here, you could say parking was free in London, for instance. If you click submit, what you will see is just a disclaimer from the manager point of view. You confirm you've read all the warnings for the 5 expense items. Okay, the one warning here. You confirm I've checked the state of the expense receipts, which you have, and you confirm that you have read and abided by the terms and conditions. Okay, if you're happy with all those 3 here, you can click the confirm button, and it will mean that your claim will be approved and ready to be sent for payment. Okay. Right, one other thing I will touch on from a manager or an administrator point of view is the expenses admin tab. Okay, so under here it will show all your vehicles that have unassigned. There shouldn't be any that are unassigned in your teams. They should be already assigned by the time your team go live. Any that have expired, due within 3 months, or assigned. Okay, so I'll touch on the expired vehicles. If I was to edit on one of these, then to push this date forward, all you need to do on the drop down here, provided you've seen the certificate, 25th of April 17, and push to date forward. There's no need to move the from date. Okay, that can stay where it is. It's not affecting anything, and that's fine. And tick save as you finish. Okay, any warnings that were apparent on the claim will now disappear, and you can proceed as normal. That concludes the actual presentation on the system and some of the benefits. What I will explain just at the end is how to access some of the support guides and assistance and helps. Okay, so again, going back to the front page of the intranet, under the A to Z directory, under Finance Department, e-expenses on the left hand side. Please note this will be sent to you as and when your teams go live. I will send you the link of where all the guides are, where all the support pages are. Okay, so this explains some of the benefits in the process we've been through today. For staff that have a roster account, their details will remain the same. Okay, so what we try and do, if you've accessed roster in the last month, we will not send you a reminder of your password. If you've accessed it some time ago, we'll send you an auto password reminder. For staff that are new to Employ Online and not using roster, as I mentioned before, your username and your password will be sent to you on the day you go live. This is updated as and when teams go live. So at the moment we're rolling out Group 8, and this will extend for Group 9, Group 10 in more time. On the left hand side here, support and frequently asked questions. For all expense queries, you've got that email address there and Mandy Powell's contact number. For all roster queries, so if your postings are incorrect, you've got the e-roster email address or a phone number here. Okay, so purely expense queries, if you can use the top support, or roster posting queries is the bottom one. Okay, so some FAQs, some frequently asked questions, which we've generated from a number of the sessions that we've posted to date. However trivial or complex, we hope this should help the users out. Going back to guides, so the employee user guide is on here, together with the manager user guide. We've just recently generated an e-receipt guide, and the steps in here are absorbed in the employee and the manager above. If you have a protected change of base, there's a guide there to assist you as well. Agenda for change travel subsistence. This will show you the rates of pay you are subject to for your reclaimable mileage. If you are reclaiming out-of-pocket expenses, this shows the rates here as well. If you change your vehicle post go live, then this is the relevant form. This hasn't changed from the form currently. We just added some extra dates on there just to help you. We've also generated a list of location postcodes. So we've tried to update these to help managers, help users that claim regularly and they're going to similar places around the sort of bases of our geographical region. So we do update these as and when that we find that other useful locations can be added. One other shortcut here is a shortcut to the DVLA website. This is to help managers and administrators control the vehicle checks. Just to note that the supplier of the system is looking to relate to DVLA, to relate to the website on a real-time basis. This is something that will come in, but at the moment it's up to the manager to update these. The video guides. What we've done, we've created it's a 2-minute guide on each of these processes. Okay, they don't completely replicate our system, but they give you a general idea, if you don't want to re-watch this video, that you'll feel comfortable and confident of how to claim your expenses. Okay, so that is a system. I've explained the support page as well. Just one thing I will finish off with. All of the teams that are going live on the first of the month would have received an information gathering email. So this, like I said, this lists the home, the base and the car information. This is very, very important. This is critical to the success of the system. And if you have not sent the information back to us, either to expenses inbox or myself or Mandy, then please do so as soon as possible. If your information is not being sent back, you'll be able to use the system, but it won't work because none of the information will be listed there. Your car information will not be used on the drop down and your home and base will not be listed. So one thing to take away from today, please do send this back as soon as possible. If you've sent the information back to us and you're happy it's all correct, there's nothing more you need to do before you go live. On the first of the month, you'll receive your user details and you can start using the system. What I will say from a completeness point of view for payroll is a distinct cut-off. So payroll will not accept any paper claims for your team post go live. Obviously you're able to send your paper claims for 3 months pre go live. So let's use an example as the 1st of August. 1st of August you're all digital. For July, June and May you can still send paper. Okay, that concludes the expenses presentation.